Hello and welcome to the Pennzoil Pro Series for Season 5 Race 3 at America's home for racing, the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Pennzoil Pro Series is alone this week for the Coke Zero Sugar 500, so the track ought to be nice and clean, ready for the drivers to take the track. All the drivers set 100 laps will be run today around this 1.5 mile oval. And as the cars fire their engines up, let's take a look at the qualifying results from earlier today. Nick Purcell's tops the charts once again for his second pole in a row, with Webster Zygaard a solid spot on his outside, and two drivers with an extensively good history at this track just behind Kyle Singer and Bryan Boone in the second row. Looking down the leaderboard, we see a bunch of other drivers like Brian Lenning, Jay Barker, very good drivers here at Charlotte, including Ryan Dunn, last week's winner, starting deep in the field for today, and they're going to have to make up a lot of ground as the day goes on, but there's plenty of laps to do it and plenty of opportunities to make passes happen at this 1.5 mile oval. Here's the drivers that did not qualify for the race, including a couple drivers that had good runs last week at Atlanta. We have a few onboard cameras here today, including Jay Barker in the National Racing Chevrolet. He'll be carrying the Chevrolet onboard. Bryan Boone, last year's winner, will be carrying the Garmin onboard, with Zach Kamasi with the inboard camera, the Miller Lite onboard camera for today's race. In the field, making their way out of turn 4, the roar of the cars is going to come to life again as the pace car goes down onto pit road. You know what time it is. It is time for the ASCA to go back green flag racing here, and we are doing with the Pennzoil Pro Series. Race 3 is underway as Nick Purcell will lead them to the green flag. A solid jump for Purcell as he takes the lead and will likely lead the first lap, but maybe not. Bryan Boone looking very strong, getting underneath Webster Zygaard. The inside line proving to be one of the better lines around this track. Look at behind them. There's last week's winner, Ryan Dunn, going 3 wide out of turn 4, wasting no time getting into the thick of it already. And the 68 car on the outside there with his teammate Eric Monaco, a rookie. This is his first time being at this track, and that's how you want to spend the first lap, going 3 wide out of turn 4. Rick Witt, a previous winner at this track, he's also one to look out for here today. And just like that, Bryan Boone at lap 3 has already passed Nick Purcell's. It seems like the race trim was a little better as Purcell's is falling back on that outside line. Two of his teammates have also gotten by. Nicholas Samudio and Kyle Collins moving in on the inside of the track. And Purcell's might be bumped back to 5th here, maybe outside of the top 5 if he's not careful. Kyle Singer's going to go on by, and Jay Durrell also moving his way on the inside. Aaron Luke's just behind in at 38. Nick Purcell's is about to be the worst running OSR car just after a few laps. But as for Bryan Boone, we did not expect anything less. Two-time defending winner of this race. In fact, 2 in a row, and Bryan Boone is looking to make it 3 in a row. It's never been done in the ASCA's history, but Boone's showing off right now and looking very strong in the early stages. Kyle Collins also making a move going underneath his other teammate, Nicholas Samudio. And the Lexus Toyota has had fast practice speeds. It was actually a surprise to see him qualify where he did, as he was expected to be the pole sitter for today's race. But looking behind, Jay Barker in the 2 car, he's also going to be climbing up through this field as he's had some success at Charlotte. You see him passing his teammate Brian Lenning there on the outside. Lenning didn't have one of the best runs last week. National Racing as a whole has not had the best starts that we've ever seen out of their team. But the season's still young and they've got a lot of work to make up. A lot of new drivers on their team for this season. Jay Barker is actually the only returning driver to the team, as all the other drivers on the team, while they may be veterans in some cases, they've all been at other teams in the past few years. The 27 car of Ruby Easton, how about this driver? Second in points going into this race. In fact, Overdrive Motorsports is 1-2 in the points, and National Racing, speaking of them, are the only other team before them to have accomplished that feat. And they are looking strong again. We saw Ryan Dunn moving up the field, but how about Stuart Grattan as well, top 5 in points for Fitzwater Australia Racing. He's looking strong, and Derek Petrie in the 53 car, another shout out for a driver who's had some good success at this track, running up inside the top 15. Ryan Dunn on the move. You see him catching that group of cars. In the Ice Valley Dodge, your points leader. Coming into this race, a lot of people had actually criticized his driving last week, and already we've seen a little bit more of that aggressive behavior, even on the opening lap of the race. Breaking inside the top 5 is Michael Jones in the 47 car. Big news released this week that Bad Dad Racing will not be returning to the series after this season. In fact, they will be shutting down and selling off their team, and Michael Jones included will not be returning in Season 6. So the Key West Dodge now in a farewell tour. Michael Jones has had incredible success being your Season 3 champion. Plenty of races won as well across many circuits. It'll be sad to see him go, but hopefully he can have a good run here today in his last start at Charlotte. The number 7 car of Sam Rogers. We mentioned National Racing struggles early on in the season, but they have avoided Sam Rogers. Even though he's not had the fastest car, he's 3rd in points right now after having 2 very consistent runs. And Sam Rogers, while he may not have won at this track, he is the winner of the 3rd race of the season back in 2015 when it was Atlanta. It is actually his only career victory. And it's been a long time, well over 70 races since Rogers has gone to victory lane, but we have a caution out on the track actually. Looking behind, there's cars over on the roof. I believe that's Allison Rhodes. Oh, and that's not what Allison Rhodes wanted to see. That's, I believe, her 3rd accident now in the first 3 races. And she's most definitely out of this one. A bunch of other cars I see with very damage across their vehicles. The 44 cars to be in another one as well. And man, Smart Motorsports is taking a hit early in this season. And looks like Alonso's just going to wash up off the corner, being really just too aggressive early on. We saw that with Dunn, but Alonso was not able to make that work. And wow, what a ride by the 52 car. C77 of Zach Rains, so excited to make another race for this team, and unfortunately it's not going to last long. The 51 car was also involved in that and was one of the catalysts as we were looking in front, and the 51 really didn't do anything wrong there, just was trying. Wow, there's the 52 car going on her roof. A scary accident for Allison Rhodes. and Komoski's going to take some terminal damage. That didn't look too bad, but you can see the smoke. Komoski will drop out of the race after that incident. Here's one more look at it. Alonso just being way too aggressive, unfortunately, and is going to wipe out his teammate in the process. The one car of Lukac involved, that's both Double T Motorsports cars. Chase Marks in the 8 for Rastafire Racing. One of their cars missed the race, and one of them is now involved in an accident. 61 of Alexander Rowe, a bunch of cars. There's the 82 of John Gilbert, another incident for him. A bunch of backmarker teams not having a good start to the weekend here today, and that's unfortunate to see, but we've got a race to continue racing. Still plenty of time left to go in this one as the 83 leads in the green. And Kyle Collins has made a surge to the front of the field, passing Bryan Boone just before the caution flag came out. But we have some lap traffic here I believe we're going to see in the future. If I would have to take a guess, it will be this one car. Super off the pace. We saw him get involved in that accident, and he is well off the pace. We're going to have to see if the ASCA officials might even disqualify him for the race for being that underpowered. The 70 car of Bryan Boone is looking to try to get back to the front of the field, and the Parts Pro Dodge is one of the cars affected by Bad Dad Racing's shutdown. In fact, it'll be the 47 and the 70 cars now returning. And look at how quick they took to get to that number 1 car, and that's the 83, going on by. And the P&G Chevrolet of Webster Zygarde is going to be held up. And while there's plenty of room to race, this is mainly a 2-groove racetrack, with the outside line having some success off of the corners, but it's mainly the inside line that you want to be racing around in. For Lukac, he's just trying to get out of the way, but with a car that slow, it's going to be nearly impossible to not impede someone's progress. And Webster Zygarde will finally find the inside of the track, getting in front of Jay Barker in the number 2 car, who has kind of stinted his run towards the front after getting by some cars in the early stages. Bryan Boone now back underneath the 83 car trying for the lead. And Boone to the lead. It looks like he will clear. Maybe the 83's got to run off the corner, and they will remain side by side down the backstretch. But looking back in the field, the 04 car running a new Coke Zero Sugar paint scheme for this weekend. Had about the worst weekend you can imagine after winning the Daytona 500, wrecking a teammate, and I believe there was probably some team meetings after that one, but Neidhoffman Racing is looking to really try and fine-tune their intermediate program. They have it down on the super speedways, but they just haven't found the speed they need to go up there and compete. And unfortunately, it seems to be plaguing the 04 once again, as running towards the back of the field, the big motorsports entry of Colin Denton, one of the Rookie of the Year contenders. It's not a complete surprise to see a rookie running in the back, but with a team like Big Motorsports, I'm sure he wants to see some better success than this, and trying to get around the 45 of John Gilbert. Denton, though, showing his stripes in the Coppet Amateur Series in the part-time races that he runs. But looking up front, Bryan Boone is going to catch the number 1 of Nathan Lukac. And what a catastrophe for the 70, going from second place in the running order to now way down in the pack. And he is not going to be able to get to the inside. Webster Zygarde knew that right away, that he needed to get around that 1 car. He's already been a victim once. And look at the cars that are just going to drive by. He has fallen outside, probably outside the top 10 now, it looks like. I think that's the 5 and the 7, 2 National Racing cars getting by. And here's more cars. Look at the 43 car going 3 wide. He did not want to be held up any longer. And more cars getting underneath. That is at least a 15 car position drop in the running order right now. And that'll drop him all the way back to the tail end of that group. But his teammate's going to run to the front to try to take over his spot and pick up where he left off. We've reached the halfway point, and so far it's been a pretty much dominant performance by Bad Dad Racing and Old Spice Racing at the front of the field so far. But other teams back there, I see Big Motorsports has 2 cars in the top 5. They're always in contention for these races. And National Racing with Jay Barker slowly but surely has been making his way up through the field. And last week's winner and a previous winner at Charlotte have also decided to make their faces known inside the top 10. You see Rick Witt trying to get to the inside line, and Ryan Dunn moving inside the top 8. Kyle Collins will be the first car to come down pit road out of the lead pack. You see John Gilbert completely noseless, it looks like, after that incident, also be coming down. I believe that's Bryan Boone behind coming down. I think that was, as the 83 car, we're going to see where he is able to get in comparison to the rest of the field. And there's Michael Jones. That was his competition. He's going to easily fly by him, and I think that will be enough for the lead. Unless we had some other cars come down pit road. I believe Kyle Collins will be easily out front of this one. I believe that'll be the case. Here's Bryan Boone. He's actually going to wind up in the 4th position, believe it or not. After falling all the way back, pitting 1 lap early was enough to gain him almost all of those spots back. Just behind him, the battle for 5th with Jay Barker on the inside of the 75 car. And Ryan Dunn once again finding himself out front, but the same can be said about Jay Barker, last year's defending champion of the series. Kyle Singer running 6th or 7th place, and then Webster Zygarde in the 8th spot. But how about Blaine Keys? After missing Daytona and having a lackluster performance at Atlanta, this is exactly what he needs to put his name back on the top of the charts. One of the veterans of the sport, trying to make his name known again in that 41 Smart Motorsports entry. Here's the 21 car, Matthew Brown. DW Motorsports making strides in the offseason to get their performance up. However, had a good run going today, but pit stops are going to bite him. He's going to fall at least outside the top 20. Ruby Easton, we remember seeing her up front in the early stages of the race as well. Pit stops bit her with a slow pit stop on that one with a above 15-second stop, so not a good one for the Overdrive Motorsports crew. But back out front, we noticed the 70 car made it up to the 4th position. He's now in 3rd and challenging for the lead again. Bryan Boone is on a non-stop rampage right now, going to the front of the field, and he is going underneath the 47 car now, it looks like, and he is going to the front. The 83 car of Kyle Collins is going to have to hold him off. Collins has been dominant this race, but so has Bryan Boone until he got held up in that lap traffic, and thanks to some pit stops, he's right back in this one. The Cards Pro Dodge looks to be probably the fastest car of the race, I would say. And there is another lap car. I think this time it's Zach Rain in the 77, which in that case, that's not the slowest car on the track, but he isn't going to make life easy for Kyle Collins down the outside. But wow, look at that outside run by Collins. And looks like Jones is actually going to take advantage of it as well. We mentioned that it was a two-lane racetrack, and you can make the outside lane work if you get the run. However, it's just so slick up there, and sometimes if you get too high out of the groove, your car might come around on you, and Kyle Collins showing that he can make the outside line work if he needs to, but Boone is not going to let up. Boone almost going in the grass right there. And he's going to duck underneath the 83 car and try to make the pass, getting some help from his teammate Jones. I think that will be enough this time by to make the pass. But Collins once again is going to come on the outside line. And finally, going down into turn 3 will make the move work. And Michael Jones looking to follow him on through. It would be a very satisfying way to end the weekend where you announce the team is dissolving after the weekend is over, to come out on top with the victory. Bryan Boone so strong at this track, it wouldn't be a surprise in the least. But right after he got past, Kyle Collins is making his way down on the pits, and he's going to short pit this one a little bit. And the tire wear must be going away for him on that 83 car. We noticed how big of a lead he got and how quickly it was swallowed up. And obviously, look at the cars coming down, as they know they need tires and they cannot risk having the 83 be out there for very long. But it'll be interesting to see when the other cars on the track decide to come down. And looking at the 3rd round of stops, look at everyone coming down. Maybe a few cars deciding that it'd be better to stay out another lap, but mostly it is unanimous that you need tires at this stage in the race. And with about 22 laps left in this thing, I think that might be the best option right now. Make your final pit stop, come down, get tires, top it off with fuel, and you'll be good to go the rest of the race in case a caution comes out. And as we see the top 2 competitors once again, Bryan Boone and Kyle Collins, the leading class of the field so far. And they have put on a clinic for the rest of the field. But a caution has come out on the track, and a huge incident out of turn 3, it looks like. 4 cars heavily damaged. The 45 of Citadino, the 24 of Cesar Chavez. Eric Monaco is the only car that can drive away from this one. The Red Viper Racing Dodge once again involved had a rough weekend last week at Atlanta, and it is not getting any better at Charlotte. But the pit stops have come into play, as we will see. Looks like the 16 car, that's a hard one to decipher, because he came up onto the track, but it looked like maybe the 24 was peeking under him. And there's the 45, just unable to avoid the 24. Maybe he thought he was going to slide down the track. The 64 also getting involved in the end there. And a bad day gone worse for Colin Denton. There's the 16. That angle was easier to tell. It looked like the 24 just might have been too caught up with focusing on the battle in front of him to really notice that the 16 was coming out onto the track, and the 64 unable to slow down in time. The 45 car, probably expecting the 24 to slide down the track, was just probably on the brakes as hard as he could. It was unable to steer the car out of the way. And as we see the cars coming to the green flag, we'll be under 10 laps to go now, with Bryan Boone in command of this one. And how the tires will work, we haven't had many caution flag and then restart attempts, but so far the first two cars will be able to get away. And will Boone be able to hold his lead over the 83 car after the tires have cooled a little bit? Kyle Singer in the 11 car making a move on the outside. He's in third, with Jay Barker sitting back there in fourth, and Nicholas Samudio trying to make his move on the outside in fifth. 51 trying to get out of the way on the inside there, but just nowhere to go for the lap traffic. And two cars have made it through, the 11 of Kyle Singer and the 96 of Nicholas Samudio. Do they have anything for the top two cars? Kyle Collins tried to make a run at the 70, but was unable to make the pass stick. But here comes the 11 of Singer. On the inside, the Big Motorsports Chevrolet is going for second place. And Boone isn't really able to check out as much as I thought he would at this point. Samudio holding off in fourth place, but Singer will make the move work, and a power move on the inside. Collins trying to fight back with that outside line, but it's not going to be enough. And as they race through the trioval, we have 6 laps left in this one, and Boone just got to hold off the oncoming Big Motorsports entry from behind. And with the big boost of speed, the 11 car is already there. And Boone has been the solid performer of the race so far, he and Kyle Collins. But right now it is slipping, and he is faded on the outside line. Here comes Kyle Singer to the inside. And the Camping World Chevrolet, with 5 laps to go, has overtaken the 74 the lead. And that might be it. The 11 car looks to be the fastest car on the track all of a sudden. Made easy work of the lap cars behind, and has fought up and past the top 2 drivers of the race. What can Bryan Boone do now to get back by him? Once completely in control of this race, now unable to make a move on the 11 car. The 11 must have made some adjustments before that caution flag came out, and has obviously brought his car to life. And Boone must be kicking himself, thinking just a few more laps and I might have had this race won. But with 2 laps to go, he isn't letting him get out of his sight too much. The 11 car through turns 1 and 2. Not going to let the 70 car get there this time. This 2 car, Jay Barker, has also come to life. In the back, he has made it past Nicholas Samudio, and now is going to make a move on Kyle Collins. And he is there. Collins is slipping. But the front 2 stay 1-2 for now. Coming to the white flag, the 11 car underneath the 61. Lap traffic will not be a factor. The 70 follows him through. And maybe Boone just needed his tires to warm up a little bit, because he is there on the back bumper. This is not over yet. And Collins, the 83 car is faded, but the 70 car is not. Boone to the inside. He's going to make a move. Kyle Singer, can he defend the move? The outside line's going to work for now. The 70 got a little bit loose, and he wasn't able to make it stick. Off the corner, Kyle Singer rockets home to the checkered flag, and Big Motorsports will secure their first victory of the season. And how about that? Kyle Singer loses his top 10 streak of 8 consecutive races last week after an incident at Atlanta, but comes back and finishes it off with a win at Charlotte. And Boone so close. Led the most laps today, but is unable to take home the checkered flag. But there will be plenty more opportunities to come later in the season for that team, as they have shown plenty of speed so far. Here's your finishing results as Jay Barker will make the drive up to third place happen, and he'll get another top 5 at Charlotte. Derek Petrie and Ryan Dunn round out the top 5. Dunn, your points leader. That's only going to help increase his points lead. His teammate finishing back in 18th. A few cars like Jay Durrell, Aaron Lukes, kind of surprising to see them fall way back. And how about Bryan Boone's teammate Michael Jones slipping all the way back to 16th in the later stages of the race. Here's 29th through 42nd, mostly cars who had problems in one of the two incidents. A bunch of them really just trying to turn their seasons around at this point. A shame to see a lot of those cars in the out section. But here's your point standings with Dunn on top of the board after a top 5. Kyle Singer up to 6th in points after that victory, with Jay Barker in 5th after his third place run. There's the cutoff line. Pretty big gap already from 20th to 21st, but it's only going to get bigger as more points get put on the board. But that'll come in the future races of the season. We still got 13 races until we get our Chase 20. We may be done in Charlotte, but next week we have Bristol for some short track racing. We'll see you all then.